This video is gonna be a little bit challenging to get through. I'm gonna do my best. This video kind of started out as a bit of a joke with my mom. The idea of like kind of clickbaiting death and getting views for it and shit like that. Yeah, I know my mom and I kind of got the same humor. It's not very good humor. Shouldn't joke about death. But she really did like the idea of sharing her story with everyone because her story might actually be able to help out many people that are going through illnesses or hard times in life. And so I'm sure if this video, you know, reaches one person that I can help out, I'm sure that would have made my mom pretty happy. As of May 25th, 2025, my mom has passed away. And I probably should have waited to record this video because it's super fucking hard. But I also don't know where I'm going to be at as far as how much time I'm going to be spending actually even filming and doing anything. So I figured I'd be a little bit transparent and get this video out sooner than later. So I keep like pausing. It's taking me an hour just to even start this video. For those of you guys who don't know, my mom was my #1 fan. She never missed any of my videos, including the losers, whether it be a Pokemon video or Minecraft video. She wouldn't have any idea what she was watching when it came to the gaming stuff, but she really enjoyed watching it because she obviously got to see me. And she would also comment on pretty much every single video and interact with you guys in the comment section. So odds are you guys probably didn't even know it, but my mom was probably replying to some of your comments. Just super funny to think about. Yeah, she was like such a typical Facebook mom, loved interacting with anything online that caught her eye. So any comments and stuff that she thought was funny, she immediately had to respond to them. But more than just my #1 fan, my mom was a conqueror of many illnesses. Some illnesses that many of people in the world has and struggle with every single day. Like for one, my mom has had a chronic lung disease for about 20 years now. Something that was passed down to her from my grandpa's side on her father's side. So who knows, I might end up with fucking any of these. I don't know. That's to be determined. We'll find out in the future. The chronic lung disease, although it was like a setback in her life, it never really stopped her from pursuing anything that she really wanted to in life. It just made it a little bit harder for her to breathe while doing it, basically. Things like getting up to go to the bathroom, things like going to the car, going up and down stairs. It became a little bit more challenging for her, but it never stopped her. But as you grow old with chronic lung disease, I mean, your lungs, no matter what, are going to diminish and become weaker and weaker with time. And so those little challenges become a lot harder with time. But no matter what, my mom always still tried to be the more like fun, involved parent. Like whether it be like with my friends and everything, she always tried to get to know all my friends growing up. She was always that mom that had the big SUV that would load up all the kids to drive them to the mall and stuff. She would want to be the more fun, involved parent. The cool mom that everyone got along with. But then unfortunately, my mom's life took a bit of a turn around 2010. I only remember the rough estimated time because it was around the time the American Affordable Care Act came in, because then it started shifting around her insurance and caused a little bit of delays with getting some medical help. But around that time, my mom found out that she had breast cancer, discovered a lump on her own. And then when going in to get help with it, it turned into a little bit of a complication of needing to get approvals for like biopsies and stuff, which her insurance was changing at the time. So there was a bit of delays with that. But then finally, after going through the medical changes and getting approvals and stuff like that to be able to then get her biopsy done, we found out that the lump that she had was breast cancer. And obviously with cancer, the longer you wait with it, the worse it gets. The more it spreads in your system, the more you can never get rid of it completely. But then began my mom's breast cancer journey to basically overcome it. She's a fighter. She wasn't going to let it knock her down. She was always going to get back up again. She went through the whole process of chemo and everything. I remember in high school shaving my head with her. She hated the idea of being bald. My mom loved having hair. She would always dye it like a dark red. I don't know why, she always loved red hair. But she had to shave it, and I did it with her. Because at the time, I had pretty long, amazing hair. You guys have never seen it. So I know that definitely meant a lot for her. And at the time, with my long hair, I was able to also donate my long hair to other breast cancer patients so that they were able to make a wig with it. That's how long my hair was. So it definitely meant a lot to my mom for me to do that with her. But my mom's breast cancer journey was very long and it was hard fought, but she ended up beating it and she never wavered throughout the entire process. She had a really good support system. She knew her family loved her. We were always there for her and always supported her. But Breast cancer was just the beginning of her journey of many different medical problems. Another hurdle that she had to overcome was after being rushed to the hospital for having a really hard time breathing. I remember being young and not really fully understanding what was going on exactly. I remember my mom being in the ICU, turning out that she had to be resuscitated, be brought back to life, in which she was then intubated. Her lungs weren't strong enough to breathe on her own. But again, my mom, as stubborn as she was, never wanted to go. So she managed to rebound. She was able to be resuscitated, but after not being able to breathe on her own, she had to be hooked up to a ventilator to basically help her do her breathing for her, which she had a tracheotomy, which essentially is they put a hole in your throat, then they put a tube in that hole to then be able to pump lungs or pump air into your lungs so that then you're able to still use your mouth. This was expected to be a potentially permanent thing for her, that this would just be the new norm for her, which obviously would be a huge depressing setback. She no longer could be the fun mom that could drive her son around with all of his friends. She was worried that she was going to be hooked up to a machine for the rest of her life. No longer could go on vacations or do anything. After leaving the hospital, she was put into a rehabilitation center where essentially the goal would have been to learn how to breathe again, no longer being reliant on a machine to have to do the work for her. And while at this rehabilitation center, it was some of the darkest times that she had to go through. She was in a facility somewhere, it was in Studio City. The entire goal of the facility is just medical care. Basically old people and people that can't really take care of themselves were basically left, and families clearly didn't give a shit. They would abandon their parents or brothers and sisters, and there's so many people that were there that were left alone. And my mom feared that she would become that. She had many roommates in this facility that basically came and went. They passed away, they would bring in a new one, and she was really worried that that would just end up being her. But we wanted to make sure that she knew that she had the right support system. We drive down to LA multiple times a week. We'd spend time with her, make sure that she knew we weren't going to just abandon her there. There were some nurses there that were pretty nasty, didn't say some nice shit to my mom. Things like she potentially might not ever be off of the ventilator and that it might be better to just accept it. But she saw those as like challenges to overcome. She wanted to be able to prove them all wrong, that she could be able to do it. And with the right support system, she was able to. It took a long time for her to be able to get off the ventilator, but she did. The entire time there, she would journal and write all the things that she would write to us because she couldn't talk because of the tube. She always talked about how she would like write a book and talk about her medical journey. God, I wish she did, because then I wouldn't be here. I could just tell you guys to go buy a book. Instead, I'm making a video. It's hard, although some of my fondest memories was being able to spend time with her, go to the 7-Eleven next door to the facility and go get some snickerdoodle cookies for her and sneak them in. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. But with her family backing her, and like I said, she's stubborn and determined, she was able to prove them wrong. She was able to make progress. She got off the ventilator. She was able to actually go home to live a fairly normal life for quite some time. A few years later, after I dropped out of college to start working full-time because needing money to be able to go back to college, which I never ended up doing. My mom was so happy that I was going to college, though. I love the idea of it. Sorry, Mom, didn't commit to the whole college thing, but she's happy with where I ended up. I was able to actually make some money to be able to then help her with doing some things that she wanted to do in life, which was one of my goals. I wanted to try to help her enjoy life with what little bit she had left, because it was clear that her journey to the end of her life wasn't going to be easy, but I wanted to try to make it as easy as possible and make her as happy as possible. Remember in 2019 for her birthday, I took her to Disneyland. My mom is a big Disney nut. She loves Disney movies, but we were very poor growing up, so it was something that she couldn't really ever get to go do. God, and she loved it. Very glad that she was able to go. But obviously, this is just the tip of the iceberg with her medical journey. You would think that she could just get a freaking break. But I've kind of only talked about the tip of the iceberg when it came to her medical problems, because last year, my sister, who's basically my mom's caretaker, noticed that she's becoming a little bit zoned out and not really like coherent, paying attention to what's going on around her. Her left side was feeling a little numb and not being able to move, various things. So we were worried about like maybe there's like stroke or something like that in her sleep. So after my sister took her to the hospital and they did an MRI, they found out that she had a tumor in her brain, which obviously was terrifying to find out. That the tumor was basically growing and causing pressure on her brain, affecting her motor skills and preventing her from being able to literally live anymore. And so last year, my mom underwent brain surgery, which was a terrifying thing to have to do. There was obviously the fear of going under such a crazy surgery like that she could end up like a vegetable or not really bounce back from the surgery because being intubated. And she was always fearful of having to be put back onto a tube and never be able to bounce back because her lungs becoming so much weaker with time. So that was always this underlying fear of hers. But we were behind her. We backed her. She had the right support system. She was able to go through the surgery successfully. They were able to remove the vast majority of the tumor. Apparently, there ended up being a tiny bit left, which she was able to successfully go through radiation treatment to be able to get it treated. And basically that radiation treatment wasn't able to fully kill it. It was able to just kind of get rid of the little bits that were left, but cancer cells were still left behind, unfortunately. And just when you thought that it would end there, though, again, once cancer is in your system, you just can't get rid of it. Because unfortunately, her next battle ended up being her last. Because later last year, they discovered that she also had lung cancer. Now, mind you, my mom's lungs already aren't the best. They already struggle on a day-to-day basis just to be able to live life. So although my mom was able to beat cancer many times already, cancer unfortunately found the one place that my mom was weakest. But at the time, my mom didn't know that it was going to be her last battle. So of course, she put her dukes up and she did her best to fight back. She went through the process of doing radiation treatment on her lung cancer, as doctors unfortunately thought that her body would be too weak and couldn't really handle chemo anymore, because chemo does a lot of wear and tear on your body. So she went through the process of radiation treatment on it, but unfortunately it was causing other damage to her body. And so then doctors decided that it wasn't the best method to continue with radiation treatment, out of fear of obviously the same thing as chemo and just causing too much wear and tear, causing other problems that then she'd have to battle and deal with also. Then began her journey with immunotherapy, which immunotherapy is a very specific type of treatment for lung cancer that unfortunately leaves her vulnerable to infections because you can't take antibiotics while doing immunotherapy. And when you have lung cancer almost indefinitely is going to cause pneumonia. And with pneumonia, obviously then you're battling infection, and pneumonia is not a silent killer. And so then my mom's battle between cancer and pneumonia also began. She kept going in and out of the hospital over the last several months of her life, being put onto a tube, taken off of a tube because her lungs were able to actually fight back hard enough. She was determined to be able to continue to live and not lose this battle. But unfortunately, her body did not have the fight that her will did. She was strong and she wanted to fight, but her body wouldn't let her. Last week, while she was in the hospital, they had to make the hard decision to stop doing immunotherapy because it was between the battle of infection and pneumonia or the battle of cancer. And unfortunately, we were faced with the fact that we had to lose one. And so the hope was that she was just going to slowly pass away over time to lung cancer and take antibiotics to suppress her pneumonia as much as possible, try to live the rest of her life as comfortably as possible. And so this weekend, she was released from the hospital on hospice care, because the hope was that we would set her up on hospice and she could live out the rest of her life comfortably at home, getting some medical care at home instead of being poked and prodded at the hospital, so that for once in her life, she can just relax. Unfortunately, after being released from the hospital, her condition declined significantly very fast, and my mom passed away at home with the comfort of my older brother, Josh, and my sister, Amanda, and my dad being there with her. She's had a long battle to try to overcome many illnesses. She was able to do it because she just wanted to see her children live, see what they could accomplish in life, where they would go, grandkids, see us get married, see us live as much life as possible. That's the only thing that kept her driving, was her love for her children. She didn't let anything stop her from achieving as much of that as possible. She had a goal to live, and she wanted to achieve that as much as she could. She was diabetic, she was borderline insomniac, she would get terrible sleep, she would wake up at like 3 a.m. and I remember staying up late gaming, being a complete degenerate, and going and hanging out with her and just talking. It's definitely where I get my terrible sleeping habits from. But my mom had the right support system behind her. She knew that she was loved. all the way until the end. And even in the afterlife, my mom doesn't want to be a burden, and she doesn't want to cause any problems. She didn't care if she had a funeral or not. She just wanted to be cremated so that then she could be with all of us. So my mom's journey finally comes to an end. She no longer has to battle. She can finally be at peace. It's hard right now, super hard. I had a terrible relationship with my parents growing up, and I'm really glad that I was able to learn to forgive them and enjoy as much life as I could and try to make their lives as good as possible. Help them out in any way that I can. And I think my mom did. I think she lived the best life that she possibly could with the hand that she was dealt. So she wanted all you guys to know, try your best to live life to the fullest. Overcome your illnesses. Don't stop battling. Have a will to live. Find a purpose. And let that be your driving force. She loved everyone, including all the people in the comment section that didn't even know her, and she didn't know them. But she knew that you guys supported me, and that's all she could ask for. God, I really wish she ended up writing a book. Being the one to have to make this video. Tough. So I don't know if I'm going to be taking time away from my desk, or if I'm just going to go full monkey mode and try to film as much as I can and just be distracted. I don't know. So I don't know the near future of where I'm going to be at. I just wanted to be transparent with you guys. My mom's journey, that she never gave up. She never gave in. She continued to live life as much as she could, and she wants everyone else to do the same. And I'm going to take that and do the same with my life. If I end up with one of these illnesses, I'm going to fight the same fight that she did. Thank you for everyone who always had kind words to say about her whenever she was mentioned in videos. Thank you to all the family that supported her. She was able to fight a good fight all the way to the end because of it. Thank you guys for everything.